Hey yogis, Josie here. Welcome to the podcast. We are continuing our conversation on accountability. Next week is going to be all about checking in and asking, are you taking accountability for who shows up, right? Are you showing up for your own life or are you showing up for someone else's? And this is a big concept that's covered in and through yoga practice, which is, as I've mentioned before, the concept of Dharma and purpose, and the idea that we all have a purpose, and when we're aligned with that purpose, we thrive. When we don't, we don't. So yoga is a practice, and the path of yoga is about showing up to the practice so that the practice will begin to reveal our own purpose, right? Why we're here, and then enable us to live it. So when you come to practice and maybe you feel like you're not good enough, or had some beginners in this week, and we all come to class thinking, we need to kind of show up in some way other than what we're just showing up as. And that's a real shame, because then that can even just stop us from showing up in the first place. So I want to really emphasize that, yoga should be an environment where you can come and you can celebrate your uniqueness. We want to encourage you to get to know yourself on a level that when you're showing up as yourself, right? And you can start acting on things that make sense to you, things that make sense to your body, and then you start to move into the direction of soul-led choices, okay? And we start to discover through that process the purpose of the soul, right? Those inner yearnings. I think there's within every one of us, very few people I know, please tell me if you're one of them, happy to hash it out. But aren't we all fueled with some kind of innate desire, pull, impulse to thrive, to grow? Isn't that part of human nature? Have you ever asked where that desire and pull and urge comes from? And why your desires are maybe not, the same as, your parents or your brother or your sister or anyone else in your life. We all have this uniqueness running through us. And we've been talking about this in class, when we kind of listen to our heart and get less ruled by the kind of the logical mind, when we start to access the different subtle areas of who we are, then we can start to better calibrate our actions, our choices, our thoughts into alignment with what we really, really want from life. And in the Bhagavad-Gita, which is a very old scripture, has it's an immense poem, actually. But 200 years after Patanjali, who wrote the Yoga Sutra, it was decodified. I think I've mentioned this before. The Bhagavad-Gita, if you've ever read it, it's hard to unravel. And, again, the wisdom in the teachings need to be extrapolated by a teacher or by a lineage through oral teachings. This is not necessarily something that we can always just read up on and expect to know. Okay, so the yogis have kind of purposefully encoded some of the major teachings in this book, which is why I think when I first came to it, I thought, what the hell is this all about? And if you're not of the mind to dig deeper and to seek out the right teachers and the lineages that are going to start to explain all this stuff, it can feel very just very conceptual and not something that we can really relate to. But my goodness, the Bhagavad-Gita is such a relatable text, because it's all about the battlefield of life. It's played out on a battlefield, and if you get a good commentary on it, you'll start to see that this whole conversation between Arjuna and Krishna, the warrior and the god of yoga, it's all about guiding Arjuna to claim his Dharma, to claim his purpose, and live out his life as he was meant to live it. And I think that's a really vital lesson for all of us. Are we showing up and living the life that we were meant to live? In that text, Krishna tells Arjuna, or advises Arjuna, that it's better to do your Dharma poorly than do someone else's well. So I want you to, next week, and as part of your yoga practice, we should always be checking in, like what are we here for? Can we figure out what we are uniquely able to do? Can we really create that space and freedom, from everything that we've already been told that we should be or shouldn't be or could be or couldn't be? Can we start to release all that through our practice, create some space, create some stillness, create some steadiness of mind, steadiness of body, and then figure out what we need to do to make that next step towards that, okay? And it's incremental. It's like finding those revelations. It's not like, well, for me at least, it's not like been an instant download of that's what I'm supposed to do. But we get little subtle hints as we practice, as we open that dialogue with ourselves, as we start to understand ourselves a bit more, as we figure out who we are. Those revelations help us to start to carry out our purpose in life in the best way that we can in that moment. Okay, so if we're coming as a beginner to a class, like, there's things that we have to deal with before maybe we can move into the biggest kind of potential of our Dharma, right? There's things that have got in the way. There's obstacles that we've put into our life that we maybe need to reflect on, change. Maybe we need to stop doing some certain things. Maybe we need to heal. Maybe we need just to get our bodies back into a place where we can move without discomfort. These are the baby steps and the little choices along the path that we all need to make to get us to where we need to go. And anything more than practicing in a way that's right for you in the moment is just fuel for the ego, right? And we're looking to move beyond the ego and the ego's demands and really tap into that place of inner knowingness, what we really know and desire, that pull, that inner kind of understanding that there's something out there that we're looking to move towards, to strive for. So that's what I'm going to be reintroducing. It's always part of practice, but just focusing in on certain aspects of the practice is just so important, because it is such a vast thing and there's such a lot of content within it, and sometimes things will land and we'll go, that's what that means, and our practice will take on a whole new flavor, but again, those revelations come when they come. So it's just about, are you showing up? Because if you're not showing up, then right, you're not really in the game. Okay, so let's get in the game. I'm going to offer a little meditation now so that we can really start to get into this vibe of yogic worldview. Who am I? Right? Who am I? What is my Dharma? What is my purpose? So if you are ready, just take a comfortable seat wherever you are. Obviously, don't do this if you're listening to this while using any kind of equipment or driving a car. And again, you can always come back to this. So just get a comfortable seat. Start to prepare the space. You can always pause this, get some candles going, some incense, some essential oils. make some time to show up for yourself. Be accountable for showing up for yourself. Literally, for me anyway, yoga is this practice of daily basis, consistent practice. Keep checking in and finding that next step forward. Okay, so closing your eyes, shoulders back and down. If your legs are crossed, just get into your sit bones and lift up through your spine. If your feet are on the floor, get a little grounding through the feet and lift your spine up tall. We'll just start to prepare by getting the mind a little bit more quiet. And ideally, when we're meditating, we want to have done a little bit of asana practice to just get ourselves in that space energetically. But there's a lot we can do with breath on its own. So let's just breathe, inhaling through the nose and then exhaling out through the nose. Just commit to a healthy breath, so nice and smooth, silent, nice and balanced. So just check that the in-breath is the same length as the out-breath. No raggedness, no jaggedness, no interruption, perfect breathing. And then if you can, seamlessly move the inhale into the exhale without a gap or pause. And then as you exhale, seamlessly move into the inhale. And just notice how just getting into your breathing immediately changes your state and makes you your mind a little bit more capable of receiving. So you can continue with that breathing until you feel you're in that place where you're ready to receive. And again, if the practice is still in that space where your mind is kind of racing off into other thoughts, other conversations, pulling you into the past or dragging you back into some future moment, just keep watching your breath. Okay, we need the mind steady, body steady, and then we can start to drop in what Deepak Chopra taught to me as the soul questions. So the first soul question is, who am I? So I want you just to ask the question and listen for any answers that are revealed in the silence, in the space between your thoughts. Who am I? Your I will attach itself to all kinds of external things. So your job, your role, I'm a mother, I'm a daughter, I'm a yoga teacher. I am British. All those things, just reflect on them for a moment and notice that all those things can be lost at any moment, but there will be the essence of you that would remain. That is who you are. Just consider and contemplate. You are not anything that can come and go, including your thoughts, including your emotions. You are that aspect of yourself that is witnessing the comings and goings of the mind, the comings and goings of the thoughts, that's witnessing the changing state of your life and the roles that you play. And there's that background that's consciousness, pure awareness that sits behind it all. There's nothing behind consciousness, and that is who you are. And just reflect on that. These can be, especially if you've never contemplated this before, it can feel kind of disorienting, challenging, and your body might start to resist in some way, mentally, physically. Again, just come back to your breathing and allow things to start to become a little bit more capable of being received in some way. Okay, and then you can let that inquiry go or continue it if you wish for as long as you need. The next inquiry is, what is my purpose? What is my Dharma? Why am I here? You know, what is it that's pulling me? What is that innate sense of need within that is helping me to expand into my next moment? You know, and if I follow that, where would that take me? Just again, take a moment to step into that inquiry. You can think about all the things that make you supremely unique. Start to invite that conversation. What is my purpose? Be kind, be calm. Sometimes, I remember when I first asked this question, it's like, I don't have a purpose. It's in such a sorry state. And that's okay. Let's just ask the question, well, if I did, what might it be? You know, don't shut yourself down. We've shut off so much. Our conditioning, our behaviors have shut us off from this knowledge, from this wisdom. So don't be too concerned if it's not kind of flooding in immediately. Just keep showing up. Take accountability for showing up and asking the questions. Okay, and you can again stay with that question for as long as you need to. Maybe work with one or the other. You don't have to kind of use them all at the same time either. The final soul question I'm going to offer you today is, how can I help? How can I serve? So Dharma as a concept can be a little bit of a big concept to take on. So if you feel like you're taking off more than you can chew, break it down into little bite-sized portions. Just ask yourself, how can I help? How can I serve? What gifts and talents do I have that will serve this moment, that may serve myself as well as those around me? Ultimately, our purpose is to serve, right? We're here as a part of the whole. Like we are like nature. Like there's this exchange of giving and receiving. And when we can tune in and start to align with our nature, then that's when things start to just make sense and flow. And yeah, and with nature behind you, what can you not do? So I'm going to leave you with those soul questions. Stay and meditate for as long as you have and enjoy. And maybe in the meantime, I will see you in class. Namaste.